It's 2018. I'm John Gray, and we're still just plain living here.
Happy New Year, John Gray. I'm Peggy Burton.
And I'm Jim Fuller.
And I'm glad to be alive in 2018.
I certainly am too.
Really?
I never thought I would
like
make it here,
even
you know.
years.
Even, do you?
And I like even. There's something special happening.
Even numbers? You like even numbers better than odd numbers, huh?
I think so. I don't know. I just made that up.
I'm an odd number guy.
Are you an odd number guy?
I
You
think
are
I am
odd.
too. I think I made a list one time of the good and bad things that happened, and I do better in it. Odd number
In odd
year.
number years.
Yeah.
Well, my numbers that one of the things that I can throw that back to is sports, because I played a lot of sports, and I always had an odd number.
Yeah.
Well, oh, really?
Yeah. One of my favorite number was 13, and I used that in football. And most people say, well, that's unlucky. But Friday the 13th has always been a good day for me.
Yeah.
It's all about attitude.
It's all about everything's
attitude.
about attitude.
Yeah. I'm glad to see you alive
I'm
today.
glad to be alive. Glad to be alive. Hey,
What you got?
speaking about be alive, for those of you that don't know, this is Low Coup number 132. White coats and blue coats, but red coats none. Sirens scream, nobody has a gun. It's broken rhythm that has slowed this risk taker. To finish my song, I got a pacemaker.
That is perfect.
Yeah, it
Were
is.
you writing that as you went to the hospital?
Pretty much.
You're worse than Ralph.
I was laying in the bed and I thought, well, I need to chronicle this.
That makes me think of Ralph when they took him out and he was having a bleeding ulcer. And I mean, he was losing gallons of blood. They had to pump him full. But he was saying, never passed out, and he was saying to the nurse that had the tubes going, he said, why don't you just take all this that's running out over here and put it in on this side? He was giving them instructions.
Oh, goodness.
You know,
Oh, goodness.
Some people just never go out, I
It's
guess.
funny, speaking about that, I don't know if you people understand why you end up with a pacemaker, but my heart rate, which usually runs about in between the high 70s and mid 80s, got down to, at one point, 28.
That's terrifying.
That's scary, yeah.
That is really
And it was
terrifying.
at 40. And when I found out about this in the emergency room at Hart, and I want to thank everybody at Hart Hospital, they did, as usual, an outstanding job
Great.
in their service to me, as they have for my family for years. So a lot of you folks out there who say, oh, I'll never go to Hart. Well, let me tell you what.
I
If
will.
you get in the car and drive to Murfreesboro, Nashville, you might be dead before you get there. Best thing you can do is stop at Hart Hospital, and if they can't do what you need, they will get you where you need to go.
Yes, they
Absolutely.
will. Absolutely.
And that's very, very
Yeah.
important.
So, Happy New Year, Harton.
Yeah, Happy New Year
Thank
to
you
Hart.
for your work.
And but I was at 40, 36, 40, and I go to Murfreesboro to St. Thomas up there, and the nurses come in and they said, well, you can't get out of bed. And I said, why not? I walked in here. And they said, well, no, you can't get out of bed. And so we cutting up, and the nurse comes in and says, how you feel? And I said, I feel pretty good. She said, do you realize your heart rate's 36? And I said, if that's what it is, it's what it is. She said, you don't look like somebody who's got a 36. So your color's good. You're conversational. You're not supposed to be like this. And I looked at her and I said, it's just another stage, sweetheart. It's just another stage.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad you're here and so glad you're doing well. That's
Yeah.
great.
New Year's. This is old, but it still prevails. This is number 65. Should it be chocolate? Maybe scotch. Red meat, cigars, or Wednesday night music at a local bar? I think Brussels sprouts is the perfect solution of what I should give up for my New Year's resolution.
I agree.
I didn't know where you were going with that. Yeah.
I can
like
give up Brussels
I've
sprouts.
learned to love Brussels sprouts.
You know, my
I tried
friend
once.
likes
If you
them.
roast them, they come out good.
Fran did that because she loves Brussels sprouts, and she did that, put them in the oven and put some olive oil on them and some
Yeah.
little spices and put them in the
And they're
oven
good.
and roasted them. I can do them.
You get hungry
Yeah.
enough, you'll eat anything, though.
Grass, sticks.
A rat in a corner starts to look good
Oh,
when you're
my
really
goodness.
hungry.
Yeah, ask a cat. They like them.
I know.
Yeah, right. Right.
Yeah, I think about that. We're all so blessed. We have plenty to eat. We have a warm home. And I always think about there are people out there that don't have the blessings that we have.
No, absolutely.
And,
Speaking about plenty to eat, seeing as how we're giving free commercials today,
Oh, okay.
evidently. I want to thank Wayne Grimes over at Pappy's in Manchester. Wayne called me and said, "Hey, we're doing a special. They're also catering now." He said, "It's funny. We're catering anything from black tie to overalls."
Cool.
Yeah, it makes no difference. We call nothing.
Yeah.
But they had spiral sliced ham
Yeah.
that they sold if you called in and ordered
Yeah.
one for Christmas, and I did. And it was probably the best ham I've eaten since my mama cooked a ham years ago, or my grandmother. And usually when they get those honey baked and they're spiral sliced, the slices are real thin, sort of like deli cut. These were thick as your finger. Just like you'd cut a hunk of ham for yourself.
Right.
It was absolutely wonderful. And so I want to thank Wayne Grimes over at Pappy's for that. They're one of our sponsors on Tennessee Traveler,
Oh,
and
okay.
they have a great.
where are they located?
They're over where the old Shoney's used to be in Manchester, right out by the interstate.
We
And
used to
then
call
it was
Shonay's.
Shonay, and then there was a country kitchen type
Yeah.
buffet there.
So that's not
Yeah.
there anymore?
Wayne bought that and is running that place. And of course, he's a food purveyor
He is. And
and
anybody knows
understands
he
that
should.
business, because
Yeah.
let me tell you what they do that's different than just about any buffet I've been in. They don't use big trays. They use smaller trays, and they have plenty of people behind the counter keeping that fresh. And so you don't walk up to something that's clotted over
That's
where
good,
nobody's used it in a while. Everything is fresh and stays stirred up, and because they use a smaller
Have you had
size
breakfast?
tray.
I'm starving to death.
So,
You got to stop talking about food.
Well, and they have everything. They have everything over there you can imagine. On the
That's
salad
good.
bar, probably 25 different kinds of pies and cakes and soft serve ice cream.
So if you're on a diet,
Well, no, if you're on a diet, they have all
have that
kinds of
too? Okay.
vegetables and salad. The salad bar is incredible. So go to Pappy's, watch Tennessee Traveler, and buy a coupon, $20 worth of food for $10.
That's a pretty good deal.
Every Monday
Yes.
That's a
night
really
at
good
7
deal.
o'clock right
Everything
here.
on Tennessee Traveler
That
is a
is-
good deal.
that's a really
it's
good
all
deal, yeah.
Pretty much half price or less. So
Well, and what
So
it
what
does,
do you-
what it
what did you
does,
do New Year's
what
Eve?
it does is, we're all creatures of habit, and you'll say, well, I want to try that place, but I know what this place down the street is, so that's where I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
But if you have 50% off, you'll try something new. Coker's right across the street's one of our sponsors.
They
And
have-
you drive by there and
they have
say, well,
great coffee.
I might stop in there sometime,
and food. They have great
and you
food.
don't do
Yeah.
it. But
Yeah.
if you got 50% off, you'll go in there and give it a try. And a lot of times you'll find a location that you normally wouldn't go to that's really good. One thing I like about Coker's and also the Mercantile in Manchester is I see Rick going in there just about every morning with bags of fresh food.
Yeah.
They don't.
So
You don't see a food truck
so you
pull
know
in
that
over
what
there.
you're getting is fresh.
Yeah,
That's a good
they
thing.
cook stuff fresh every day, and the Mercantile in Manchester, Renee Holt and her sister Misty, the same thing. That's what they do over there.
right. So if you like
And-
to eat, that's really makes
John likes
Tennessee
to
Traveler.
eat. You
Well,
can
but the
tell.
thing about it is, it's two things. It's local people. It's
And
not
that's important.
corporate.
Yeah.
It's local people using local produce to cook you a meal just like you'd cook at your own house. Not something that comes in a tub that they just dish out on a plate.
I'll tell you what you need to do. Drop in on Ann Baldwin and Louie on New Year's
I'll
Day.
bet.
Oh my gosh, the best food.
Well,
Thanks,
to
Ann.
drop in on Louis and Ann Baldwin anytime would be fun.
Yeah, it would.
Louis Baldwin's one of my favorite people. He is the
so-
coolest cat
he
I
is,
believe
and
that
he's
I
very,
know.
Very talented, very artistic, and very quiet about it. He's a genius that keeps quiet.
yeah.
Love it.
And Ann's out front in that deal. But I remember when Jacob was in the Singers. Louis is almost like R.J. Hayes. I mean, he's behind the scenes creating all of this fantasy,
And what a brilliant man he is.
you know, and
Did you see the float for the Civic Association?
oh, that R.J. did? Yeah.
Well,
He created,
he
the
created
front of
the-
the building out of nothing.
And it was,
put it on a
It
float.
was exact. It was beautiful. Thanks, Sarge. And plus, he and Sandy have birthdays on this weekend.
Yeah, yeah.
Somehow, during all
They've
this,
been married forever. Ever.
they're a great couple,
Ever.
both of them.
They might be Adam and Eve. I don't know.
They're contributors
You
to the
know,
community.
are they Adam and Eve? They might be.
I don't know.
They've been married that long.
Yeah. Did you have a good time New Year's Eve?
Well, let me tell you what I didn't do New Year's Eve was I got home New Year's Eve and it was about 7 o'clock, I guess, or 7:30. Tried to get home
That's different.
earlier than normal.
Yeah.
And I opened the garage door to go inside, and Nancy has the karaoke machine, which
Yeah.
is in my garage, and it was all set up, and there was a little heater about like that out there
Yeah.
in the garage, which is not heated at my house. And I'm saying, do you have any idea what the temperature is outside?
We're doing karaoke whether you like it or not.
It was 13 degrees,
Oh, my
and
gosh.
you could see your breath
Yeah.
when you're inside the garage, you know. And
So did you
That
sing?
didn't make any difference, though, did it?
Did you
it
sing?
didn't seem to matter to her. However, that whole deal didn't last long.
I'll
because
bet.
What did the girls come over?
They had been there prior to that, and
Yeah.
I assume they had been doing that.
Sweet.
You know, so
Kids don't
prior to
notice the
that.
cold. You know, it can
No.
be 40 below,
Yeah,
and they're
yeah.
out in the snow making angels.
However,
In short pants and
for me,
T-shirts.
that was a little much
Yeah.
for me.
I know. I just feel lucky that the electricity didn't go off.
There you go.
Yeah.
'Cause it's
Yeah.
been bitter, very bitter.
Well, before we're through with this segment, we must say one thing.
Yes.
Okay.
We have an all SEC national
Yes, we
championship
do.
game in college.
that great?
Georgia beat
Yeah.
Oklahoma, and Alabama waxed Clemson.
Right. Exactly.
That Georgia ball game is one of the best ball games I've seen.
It
and I
was
don't know when.
exciting,
Double
wasn't it?
overtime.
Yeah. Especially since Oklahoma got up by 17
Yeah.
early in the first half. But
Yeah.
Georgia, what a comeback.
Yeah,
You know.
and great ball game. Great
Yeah.
ball game. SEC. SEC.
I don't know what Kirby Smart, the coach, said to them at halftime, but it must have been something
He
good.
woke 'em up.
Yeah, it absolutely did. They were a totally
He
different
woke
team in
them
the
up.
second half.
He woke them
So-
up. And speaking about waking up, we're going to go to a quick commercial break, and we will be back with some more good stuff for you. 2018, although it's an even-numbered year, is going to be the year you make it. So make it great.
It's football time in Tennessee, and nobody tackles the competition like the Russell Barnett Automotive family. With 6 different locations, 8 new car franchises, over 1,000 new and pre-owned vehicles to choose from, a certified collision center with lifetime paint guarantee, Russell Barnett Hometown Auto Rental. Let our family exceed your expectations at the Russell Barnett Automotive family. And remember, why buy anywhere else?
All I have to do to think about what I was physically before and what I am now, and I don't ever want to go back to that original situation.
The overall mission of the rehab team is always what is best for the patient and how we can facilitate maximum potential from every resident.
Well, the most important thing to me is that I'm allowed to do whatever I want to do, you know.
Everyday Miracles, Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
Talking history about this and that. It's Conversations with John and Pat, with John and Pat, with John and Pat.
Hello, everyone. I'm John Rickman.
And this is Pat Welch. And John, we're here today for segment 73 of the Conversations with John and Pat.
Now, I know that a lot of people out there think you boys spend a lot of time studying your subject matter and doing this, but Pat and I want you to know that we don't spend a lot of time. We lived a lot of this sort of thing. You remember the basketball teams, the football teams, what THS has done. I look, I've been around Chapel Hill and Tullahoma a long time, and we sort of...
Sometimes our perception may be slanted to our own
It is,
view.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
It is, in my opinion, for sure. But Tullahoma is a wonderful place to live. But I started out in Chapel Hill, Tennessee. And over in Chapel Hill, there is a strange ghost light over the railroad track. And
which we talked about in segment 1.
That was one of our best segments, Pat. And ever since that time, we've gone downhill.
But today, back. We're on our way back.
We're going to
73 will equal 1 if we can.
Yes, and the Chapel Hill Ghost Light is known for around this area. And when I was a youngster, I guess my father took me down. I can't remember how I got there. A lot of things you can't remember, but I remember standing on the railroad tracks, and these old codgers, like our age right now, they would be standing there telling me stories about the ghost light, and it wouldn't be anything but just we'd be looking out in the darkness, and they'd be telling these tales, and it just like telling ghost stories around a campfire. And, you'd get sort of a chill, and then you'd see something down the way. Is that it? And it would come up or back or south, however, and then it grew and grew, the name of the light.
And the appeal grew and grew. And we said, we were, in segment 1, John, if you'll remember, by the time that reputation came to Tullahoma, it came, especially in the 60s, that was a little bit ahead of my time, but a lot of the high school kids would take their dates to the light, and the women were more wanting to be a little cozy because they were afraid, and of course the male sometimes would kind of put him in a tough position. He had to act like he wasn't scared, and he was. But
let's get in the car and go.
Yeah, let's see that ghost light.
We're going to show a segment not too long ago.
Now, before you do it,
yes.
John, I'm going to interrupt here.
Yeah. Okay.
We've had a lot of discussion, and on this publicity or team media group comes in from Nashville and sloughs me out. And then also in segment 1, there's a little reluctance to tell about actually what's supposed to happen, how this ghost came about. A man was walking on the railroad tracks at some point, and when the train ran over him, he lost his head. And that is so grotesque that I think the Chapel Hill people try to gloss it over a little bit, maybe. But the light then is the ghost supposed to be looking for his head. And as you pointed out, it's hard to understand how you could look for your head. Normally your eyes would be in the head.
But a spirit maybe can do that.
Correct.
And that's
so you asked that question, and I couldn't believe it,
There, and on this segment, we're going to show in a minute after we be quiet and let you see it.
After I be quiet?
No, both of us be quiet. There's a fella named Skip Agent who dies on the railroad track June 8, 1942, and from that time on, the light was seen. Somebody indicated that his body was put there by somebody else. Who knows? I don't know that. That was just some of the talk. But the person who signed the death certificate was Ms. Mary Roselle,
who was not a coroner.
She was not the coroner. But she signed where the coroner would have a signature. She was just the county health nurse. She would give us our vaccines. Kids would line up. She would give us our shots, our vaccines, or whatever. She was a county nurse. She lived in Chapel Hill, but she was the one who who signed the paper. I guess that's enough talk about this. We need to get probably to seeing what Channel 2 TV. They called me from Chapel Hill and said, "You've written this song about the light. Would you come and be
Did they
interviewed?"
say anything that we understand that you have a show in Tullahoma
and a sidekick? No, I didn't mention your name at all, Pat.
Well, let me get one more lick in. We also talked about how could this light? Because there's no question that there is a light at some point, and at some times. And I mentioned that there's a lot of fog in that area at certain times of the year, and that there's some theories that this light could be caused by refraction of light.
Fire.
And you pointed out
swamp gas.
Yeah.
Phosphorus.
Well,
in the
I
air.
mentioned refraction of light. You said that was an awful nice
That's
term.
That's a big term. Who taught you? Max Weaver? Oh, no, Ms. Weaver. Who taught you?
Mr. Crosland had it for physics. That could have explained it. Just because y'all didn't have physics.
You're just too well educated, Pat.
Just because there wasn't any physics in Chapel Hill, don't criticize.
Sometimes you'd be too smart.
I never have had that problem. Let's roll the film, Philip. We regress.
Chapel Hill, the townspeople tell a tale of a strange light along the dark train tracks.
Some have reportedly even died just trying to catch a glimpse of it. Josh Breslow continues our day-long Haunted Tennessee coverage with a look at the mysterious Chapel Hill ghost light.
Many years ago along the railroad track one night, a man was walking home and held a lantern for his light.
A town of nearly 1,500.
He never heard the whistle scream or the mighty engine pound. He never even knew it when that freight train ran him down.
Chapel Hill is home to one of Tennessee's most haunted tales.
The engineer ran back in time to see the poor man die. But as he neared the tragic spot, a light rose in the sky. There's a ghost light over the railroad, shining in the Chapel Hill sky.
Claiming to have seen the Chapel Hill ghost light himself, songwriter John Rickman has heard just about every variation of the story behind it.
It's known pretty far and wide.
Most involve a headless signalman or train brakeman wandering the tracks using the light to guide his way. But if you ask Rickman, only one tale is true.
His name was Skip Agent.
Many years ago, Skip was hit by a train.
He was killed, and from that point on, the light was seen out here after that time.
The birth of the ghost light.
It goes across the track, sometimes sways back and forth across the track. Sometimes it comes up, sometimes it goes back, and you're looking for it, and then it falls over behind you some way. It goes behind you.
This picture, just one of many snapped along the tracks.
Unknown. It's a mystery.
Over the years, people have come from all over, spending the night along the tracks, even throwing parties.
And the crowds sometimes would get so rowdy, and some even brought guns to shoot at the light to see if they could bring it down. And there was one person killed from Bedford County out on the railroad track. He was so enamored by the light that he came out here and got too close to the track and got hit by a train, as I understand.
Looking at the ghost light will make your blood run cold. It moves along the railroad track and haunts your very soul.
As the town of Chapel Hill expands, there have been fewer reported sightings of the light, but Rickman believes it's there, and believers will still show up, hoping for a glimpse of that mysterious ghostly glow.
A spirit holds a lantern high for all the world to see. For the old ghost light of Chapel Hill remains a mystery.
For Haunted Tennessee, Josh Breslow, News 2.
Well, as we mentioned, we will have stories like this in every newscast today. If you miss any of them, you can also catch them over at WKRN.com.
John, I'll have to admit that was a fine segment that Channel 2 had, but some constructive criticism, and I noticed that you hear both of us have been follically challenged with our hair, and you tried to cover it up with a hat from the national media.
Sun was in my eye, Pat. Pat, what I've been thinking about is how can we profit from this notoriety that the light is given. Is you know, we have some
not excessive profits. We're just talking about a reasonable profit.
You know, we have the Curleys, the Hayes, and the Stantons that give tours, and I just wonder if we might lead tours over there using some of these people.
The Ghost Light and the Trestle. We've talked about the Trestle.
Yeah. And you mentioned though that a couple of these agencies only deal with cruises. And
so we could maybe float the duck.
We could start out at Normandy Lake somehow.
Right.
I don't know how you get over the falls there.
Right.
But travel down Duck River. And,
I think it'd be a great experience.
Get out at Columbia.
And we want to re-emphasize now that we talked about taking dates there, and the first time that we talked this, we said if any women want to go, and you almost swallowed your teeth at the time thinking that I was going to, no, don't call us for an individual tour.
No.
We're happily married.
Nor would anybody want to, but I mean, we're not
probably
looking.
Probably so.
We're not looking for that.
That's correct. We're out.
I want you to know that.
But we certainly would take tours, and we're waiting for phone calls, and it'd be a great trip over there.
John Gray might even go with us.
He might.
But anyway, that was a good segment. We hope you enjoyed that. And
we may ask management to put our first segment back to back with the Channel 2 segment and run some kind of contest of who. You know, I'm not bashful about P-Head being good. That's enough. We are finished now with segment 73, and it was a fine segment, and we've got plenty more stories to go if management can stand one more trip. Thank y'all.
Talking history about this and that. It's conversations with John and Pat, with John and Pat, with John and Pat.
Partners for Healing provides medical care to the working uninsured of Coffee, Franklin, and Moore counties. We are in Tullahoma from 8 to Monday through Thursdays and in Manchester on Fridays from 8 to 12. We provide primary medical care and offer an in-house disease management program.
My name is Rosie Mitchell, and I would just like to say I am blessed to have partners in my life.
Please call 455-5014 for more information. Thank you for being one of our Partners for Healing.
Hello, this is Janie Price. When my husband Ray Price would tour across the country, his favorite place to dine was Cracker Barrel Old Country Store locations. His favorite thing to order was the Uncle Herschel.
And the beauty of it all is forever, you'll be holding me to.
I miss Ray dearly, and I'm so proud that his last album, Beauty Is, The Final Sessions, is available at his favorite restaurant.
A love affair to remember.
The project includes a duet with Martina McBride and harmony vocals from Vince Gill. Ray believed this to be the best recording he had ever made.
Oh, I wish I was 18 again.
I think you'll agree when you pick up your copy of Beauty Is, The Final Sessions at a Cracker Barrel Old Country Store location near you or at crackerbarrel.com.
Pleasure of having Greg Gressel with me today. He's the new president of South Jackson Civic Association. Welcome, Greg.
Thank you.
Happy
it's good
New
to be
Year.
here. Happy New Year.
You. I'm real interested in talking about the gala that we're fixing to do at South Jackson on January 20th.
Yes.
And I know that you're part of that committee, and it's all about raising funds. So You want to tell me a little bit about
Yeah,
it?
our gala at South Jackson, we have a lot of galas in the area, and there are people that they have galas at Motlow. Motlow has a gala. Our chamber has a gala, and this is a gala to support the performing arts here in Tullahoma. And you know, it's a great community with a lot of great talent.
It's amazing how much talent.
It's incredible.
From the little ones all the way up.
And we just have an incredible opportunity to support that. And what a wonderful facility that we have in South Jackson. There's things that we want to do to make it even better. And
lots of stuff going on right now.
Lots of things going on right now. Everything's torn up. If you've driven by South Jackson, you see that that's the case. We're under a project right now where South Jackson, along with the Women's Club, Centennial Women's Club, and the city, have put in quite a bit of money to light up South Jackson
and redo the parking lot.
Redoing the parking lot,
which
putting
leads
lights.
us to where we're going to do the gala this year. It will not be at South Jackson.
Exactly. This was a year we said, okay, here's an opportunity to maybe pull outside the building, do something a little bit different. But we were afraid really that our patrons would have a hard time with parking at this particular point, and so we are going to be at the Tennessee Business Center, which is the Legends Ballroom at the Tennessee Business Center. For those of you who don't know, it's on Wilson Avenue. It's
right across the street from the Coker Building and Wendy's.
Wendy's.
You can't miss it.
You can't
and
miss
it's a great parking lot in front of the building.
Right.
And that's where you'll enter, and we'll be in the Legends Ballroom.
Yes, and we're going to have big band. We've got tribute to big band singers. We have got a dance floor. We're going to have everything.
And that's sort of where I come in, because we have the South Jackson Street Band, but we don't have me singing all the songs or Dr. Jerry Anderson singing all the songs. We have such great talent at South Jackson. We're bringing in a bunch of singers. I have a few pictures.
Okay.
Not many, because we haven't finished our picture taking, but I thought we'd show this one. This is 5 of the women performers along with Jerry Anderson. You might, on the left, if I'm looking at this correctly, maybe it's your right, who knows. Melissa Sharan with the feathers. She's doing Sophie Tucker, and oh my gosh, she is wonderful. Fran Gray, who is our office manager at South Jackson, will be doing Dinah Shore and Kate Smith. And there is Miss Doreen Schultz, who will be, who did I say, Lady Gaga, and Linda Ronstadt will be done by Amy Beckstead, and I just simply do myself because I'm probably older than anybody up there. And Jerry Anderson will be doing some Sinatra. This is Luke Sanders. If you saw 1776, he was the lead John Adams. He can do anything. He has sung on the country show, and he is singing for this event, I believe, Harry Connick Jr.'s number, one of his numbers. Proud to have him. And we have several sets of dancers. This is Miss Olivia, I always want to call her Northcutt, but it's Anderson. Olivia and Clayton Long, who I've known since he was born and has been tap dancing his entire life, and they are going to do Chattanooga Choo Choo, which is the cutest thing. And I'm so excited about having all of them on the show. And now on top of that, we have Greg Gressel, who hasn't had a picture made yet, but here he is live and in person.
Yes.
Doing the famous, who are you doing?
Michael Bublé.
Michael Bublé. Yeah. I love those songs, by the way.
Yes.
Those are great songs. And we have a quartet of young girls doing the Andrews Sisters. We're saying it's the Andrews Sisters plus another sister by another mister. But anyway, they're so cute, and they dance and do everything else. And we have, and that's Samantha. I won't name them all. We'll bring their pictures next time and talk a little bit more about the program. But it's all about ballroom dancing, great singers of the big band era from then until now.
Come to our cabaret.
Come to our cabaret. And you want to talk about the food? There's stuff that you get for your ticket.
Oh yeah, for the ticket, there are heavy hors d'oeuvres, and that will happen
and
throughout.
Plenty of it, yeah.
Plenty of it. We will not run out of food. We have a phenomenal caterer coming in to do
and
that.
The cocktail hour starts at 6:30.
The cocktail hour starts at 6:30, goes to, and the show will begin at 7:30.
Yeah, and it'll all go in together. And if you want to get
together.
up and go get a drink or go get something, it's okay.
Yes.
Because there'll be tables, chairs, a big dance floor if you're a dancer.
Right. And we have people serving as well.
Good.
I mean, there'll be wines and
beer, I think.
beer as well.
And other drinks.
Other drinks. And so just a good time to come relax and enjoy some time together. And like she said, you can keep getting up, getting some food, picking up some things, and just enjoying the
And
evening.
hopefully you will dance if you want to, or you can just sit and listen and talk to your neighbors.
That's right. It'll
We're
be a
not
great
holding
setting.
a gun at your head for anything. Just come and enjoy. I want to make a statement about the fact that we need to support the performing arts in our area.
Yes.
Honestly, I worry that I would have been on the street if it hadn't been for the performing arts. They have kept me alive. What would I do without my music? Ann Baldwin and I talk about that. But anyway, we have so many young people involved, and they go all the way up. And I hope that all of you will understand that a donation to this organization is not just about an event. It's about the performing arts to instill in the hearts of the community how important that is. And you know, with so many drug problems and so many this and so many that, go be on stage at South Jackson or sit in the audience.
Right. There's opportunity for you no matter what your abilities are, what your likes are, what your desires
we're
are.
consciously looking for people.
There's so many things that you can do, whether it's on stage, behind the stage, in front of the stage. There's just a lot of great opportunity there.
Yeah, I would like to address that because you don't do a show just with singers and players.
Right.
There's 18 players in my band, and they're all very dedicated musicians. But there's that guy back there working a spotlight, or that guy working the sound, and the stage manager, and then the volunteers throughout the community that offer their assistance to keep something going. What got you so interested in the performing arts?
Well, I have a degree in music performance, so you know, all through high school and then through college, in theater and in music in general, just love it, and it was incredible. I had the opportunity to move here and raise our kids in this kind of environment here in Tullahoma with a great education, to also have the opportunity for the arts and for them to be available to participate in things like that. And it's been a lot of fun. Now that they're older, I have the ability to do it.
You get a chance to be on stage.
To the point that I love and
yeah, and I
enjoy
might
as
mention
well.
that he was the director of 1776, which was awesome. And I'll have to say that so was the orchestra.
Yeah, the orchestra was
anyway,
incredible as well.
It was a great event. And Greg, I wish we had hours to talk because you're a sensational individual, and what you're accomplishing is wonderful.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much.
We'll be back with, I never know exactly what. I don't run this show.
Let me tell you about the toughest guy on earth. He does the work of 2 jobs, but only gets paid for one. He's tough enough to feed the man that gave him a lifetime of nourishment. He has the crazy strength to lift the man that raised him up without even flinching. That's right. No employee of the month bonus check here. This guy, no, this warrior, will always be by his father's side, even if his dad will hardly remember. Good luck finding a gym to train for that. If this guy isn't the toughest guy on the planet, then I don't know who is. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Is this the year you want to get fit? If so, check out just some of the things Tullahoma Parks and Rec has to offer. Kickboxing, aerobics, silver sneakers workouts, swim lessons, boot camp, water aerobics, basketball, Zumba, yoga, pickleball, lap swimming, treadmill, karate. Get fit, Tullahoma, and have some fun with Tullahoma Parks and Rec.
When your family suffers the loss of a loved one, the caring and compassionate staff at Tullahoma Funeral Home and Coffee County Funeral Chapel are standing by to assist you in every way possible. We are proud to support local industry and offer only Batesville caskets. Many funeral homes don't own or operate a crematory. We utilize the only crematory in Coffee County. Your loved one never leaves Coffee County. We can accommodate any need and any budget. Consider our complete pre-need service to remove this burden from your family during their time of grief. Lock in today's low costs and protect from inflation. Tullahoma Funeral Home and Coffee County Funeral Chapel. Our family caring for your family.
Why, good morning there. Thanks, John. Good to see everybody. You and TV land, we're glad that y'all are seeing us too. Thank you, camera ladies. Good to see y'all. Couldn't do it without y'all. And hello, Dot, and hello, Justine, and hello, all our good viewers and listeners that have said they like this segment of the show. We love to share it with you. Let me ask you to go back in time, not too far back, but about 1940. This time of year, in 1940, 60 years ago, the war clouds were rumbling, and it looked like that good old U.S. of A. might be involved in some wartime activities, and the authorities that powers that might be selected in their selections of training camps for Army and Navy and Air Force, selected Tullahoma to be a training ground for the Army because the terrain around here was much like that in Luxembourg and France and Germany. And of course, even before 1940, Tullahoma has always been a training ground for military people. Like in 1926, Governor Austin Peay established a National Guard training center in East Tullahoma, where the Tennessee National Guard came every Sunday every summer for a 2-week training from all over the state, and they trained at Camp Peay. Most of it was infantry, but even before that, from January of 1863 to July of 1863, General Braxton Bragg had some 25,000 troops in Tullahoma and Manchester and Sheville, having retreated from the Battle of Stones River in Murfreesboro. So Tullahoma and the surrounding area have been for many, many years the center of training activities for the armed forces. Now, back in 1940, it was determined that they were going to build a big Army training center in Tullahoma. That decision was made in September of 1940, and construction began in late October of 1940. And Governor Prentice Cooper named this Army training base Camp Forrest in honor of our great Southern Cavalry leader, General Nathan Bedford Forrest from Memphis, that was a great leader during that time of the Civil War. And rightly so, because he was such a great, great leader. And Tullahoma, a sleepy little town of 3,000 to 3,500 people in September of 1940, grew almost overnight to 15,000 to 20,000. The workers came in from all over the southeastern United States seeking jobs for the construction of the camp. They slept in cars, they slept in trucks, they slept in tents, they slept in attics, garages, barns, wherever they could find a place to rest their head. And to get a job, they had to belong to the Carpenters Union, whose headquarters was in the back of a grocery store on Wall Street in Tullahoma. And they'd go to sign up to get a job as a carpenter, and the union officials asked them, "Where are your tools?" And they said, "Well, don't they furnish tools out there where they're building?" They said, "No, you got to go get some tools." So Lawson's Hardware was just 2 doors from there, and those seeking membership in the union would go up to Lawson's and buy a hammer or a yardstick or a pound of nails or something related to construction, and go back down and they'd sign them up in the Carpenters Union. They all those construction workers and truck drivers and lumber people worked around the clock for months and months and months. That winter was one of the worst winters that was ever took place in this area. It was either mud one day or dust the next. It was just horrible. But they've got gravel to try to lay some roads out there where they could get to the construction site. And those big old international dump trucks got gravel from the quarry at Normandy and Lynchburg and Hillsborough. And again, they work around the clock to get that material down there. Well, the first troops moved in late February of 1941. The 181st and 191st Field Artillery moved in, and they were from Middle Tennessee. And then in March, the Illinois National Guard was federalized, the 33rd Division, and they moved in March of 1941, some 25,000 of them. And they went on maneuvers, and the picture that you see now is Gate 1. I made this picture in 1941, and it's straight now, I think. I hope. Can you see it? I hope you can. I was waiting. I delivered papers out there and delivered groceries out there, and I was waiting to get in the gate at that time. And while I was waiting, I stuck my little camera out the truck window and made this picture. It's the only picture I've ever seen of Gate 1. It's been used by hundreds of people, and it's put on a postcard, and that guard that you see in the picture happened to come by a few months ago and said, "You know that picture you made of the Gate 1 in 1941? I said, "Yeah." Well, he said, "I'm the guard that was standing there directing people in," and I had remembered his face, but I didn't know his name. And he was also head of the military police headquarters next to the City Hall up at the corner of Lincoln and Atlantic Street when camp was here. Nice fella. And people come every month or so to visit or show their grandchildren where Daddy served and our granddaddy served his basic training at Camp Parsons. A very interesting place. It existed from 1941 when it was built until 1946 when they raised it, and you can only see footings and foundations of some of the buildings out there now. But it was a great place, and we really enjoyed meeting a lot of nice people from all over the country. One lady came by a year or so ago and said, "Do you remember where the hospital was?" I said, "Yes." And she said, "Well, my father was in the 168th Field Artillery from Colorado, and my mother was expecting me, and he brought her with him when they came to Camp Forest, and I was the first baby born at the hospital there at Camp Forest." Very attractive lady. She said if they ever have a reunion or a gathering, I'd love to come and be part of it. But we made a lot of friends through the years, and it's been real fun. Would you believe that when Camp Forest was announced, there were 2 taxi cabs in Tullahoma and Manchester combined, and at the height of the camp there were 886 taxi cabs in Coffee County, and they stayed busy all the time. The troops got out on Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock for a weekend and had to be back on the base by midnight Sunday night. And you can imagine when those special trains came in and brought them back, what a fight it was for a taxi cab. But it was a whole lot of fun, and you know, there was a patriotism and Americanism, a loyalty and a cooperative effort because of wartime that we haven't seen since then. And everybody enjoyed it and cooperated for the war effort. And let me tell you, there's a whole lot more to come. This is not the end of the story, and I'll be looking forward to sharing some more with you. And until then, you have a good day.
Smoking tobacco accounts for 3 of every 10 fire deaths in the United States.
Tullahoma Fire Department. Need you en route to a structure fire, 202 Main Street. Heavy smoke showing. Neighbors advise child trapped inside.
Lighters, matches, and associated smoking paraphernalia are the leading cause of preschooler fire deaths. We as firefighters know that most structure fires can be prevented.
I've got one! Command, this is primary search. We have a victim. Need EMS to meet us at the front door.
Please help us to give you a fighting chance. This can be prevented. Contact the Tullahoma Fire Department for a free home safety inspection.
What's a Tennessee vacation? It starts off like any road trip, and then, boom, adventure and thrills everywhere you look, which happens to be some of the most beautiful scenery in the country. Music here, history there, and all kinds of green in between. Come relax and unwind, or bring the crowd for some stargazing, or stargazing. Whatever you do, come hungry and expect an awesome soundtrack. It's all right here in Tennessee. We're playing your song. For a free vacation guide, visit tnvacation.com.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and we're pleased to have joining us now Coffee County Mayor Gary Cordell, who stopped by today to kind of bring us up to date on where we've been over the last year and what we're expecting to go during the 2018 year.
Okay. Well, it's a pleasure to be here. Appreciate the invitation.
Absolutely.
Hope you have a
glad.
wonderful new year.
Well, I hope you do as well, and I know this has probably been an eventful year for you, and and you're looking forward to 2018 as well. Tell us kind of where you've been in the past year. What's happened in the county government?
We've had a lot going on in county government, as we always do, and we're certainly looking forward to this year. In the fall of this year, we embarked upon a process to interview some companies to have a energy conservation program installed in county buildings to help make our usage of electricity and utilities more effective and efficient. And we have put out a request for qualifications on that, and we had 4 companies to respond to that. And we're in the process now of starting the interview process so we can see what they bring to the table, so that we, I was just sharing a while ago that we have over 150 heat and air units in our county buildings. Some of those are over 25 years of age, so some of them are terribly ineffective, and I'm sure they're really working hard today, as cold as it is.
Yeah, sure.
But we've got to start replacing some of those, and this year in our budget process, we're going to be looking at a 5 to 10 year capital projects plan, so we can start looking at the scheduled replacement of one of those, so that we can be more energy effective and efficient. And with the programs that we're looking at, these companies, what they bring to the table, they will provide financing on that or help us on financing, so the energy savings will more than offset the annual cost of that note to buy the equipment and to install energy effective methods that we need to have to save energy. So we're in the process of looking at that right now.
And that's a pretty innovative way to do that, because I heard you mention that in the past it was sort of like you were managing by crisis management, but this is sort of planning ahead, I would assume.
We've got to plan ahead because too many, I guess, county governments or governments across the country, they're known for crisis management, but we've got to be strategic and start planning and trying to have the most effective, efficient plan we can for our taxpayers to try to keep our taxes low. And that 5 to 10 year plan will hopefully help accomplish that as it relates to our infrastructure and energy cost.
I know you've been busy in industry recruitment and that sort of thing, and you had an interesting story, and I know you can't talk about specifically who it is for obvious reasons, but you have been entertaining or rather meeting with some people that could offer some significant boost to the employment in our county. Could you comment on that?
Well, we've had different companies that look at us, and that's another world out there when you get down to industrial recruitment, and it's a tough world. And it's a secretive world, and that when they're talking with you, they do not want you to mention their names or anything of the sort, and I understand that. But we know from the past that when an industry is looking at coming to your county, they look at several criteria. They want to look at workforce development, so it's critically important that we have the best programs we can in our schools for training for the workplace of the future, or the workers of the future. And they look at your access to the interstate, and what kind of structure you've got, the benefit package you can craft for them, and broadband capability. They look at those 4 or 5 key things. And this one company, they were a large company, and I'm a little concerned that we may not could have provided the workers that they would have needed in their county. So workforce development is something that's critically important, and keeping our tax structure in as it is.
You mentioned tax structure, and I guess being the county mayor, wherever you go, probably people want to know what's going to happen to my taxes in the coming year. What do you see happening to the tax structure in Coffee County? And then,
Jim, I'm hoping that can be maintained for this next year. We've gone. Thankfully, we've got good leadership in our county with our commissioners and whatever. We've got a good budget and finance committee and a good team, and they really, and we're going into our budget season again. Can't believe that we're going to be talking about the budget for next year already, but we're into that process. But they're really a tight, conservative budget and finance committee, and we look at ways to keep our tax structure and tweak things over time. We changed our insurance, a lot of our county insurance a couple of years ago, and that saved the county about $75,000 just that one program. And then so you got to be looking at ways to try to make sure you're getting the best value for a taxpayer dollar we can get, and I owe that to our taxpayers. So we're going into that process again, but we've gone 3 years now with a tax increase. And as I was sharing earlier, about 3 years ago, we ended up the fiscal year of June of 14 or July 14, I guess it was, and our operating reserve fund was down to about $600,000 or so, and that's pretty low as far as the state's concerned. But now we've got a healthier balance with about a $2.5 million operating reserve fund that we're trying to keep in place, and that really helped us this year, because for the first time in recent years, perhaps in history, this year we did not have to have a tax anticipation note. We call that a TAN note, but that's where that we have to borrow money in July and August so we can meet county payroll from another pool. But this year we did not have to have a tax anticipation note for the first time in whenever maybe. And we're excited about that. So that's indication that our reserve is getting a little better, and we're trying to keep a healthy reserve and not have another tax increase.
I see. When we talk about, you mentioned you'd saved $75,000 on insurance before, and I'm sure there are other issues like that. But explain to our viewers how the tax works. In other words, when you add a cent to the person's property taxes, how much money does that generate for the county? And then maybe they can relate when you save that much money, how much it saves.
Right now, 1 cent on our property tax rate will yield about $103,000 in a year. So if you save $100,000, you save 1 cent, which doesn't seem like a lot on the property tax rate, but if we can, I'd love to see the day where we can actually have a little decrease. Don't know if it's going to happen anytime soon, and we know right now that our school system came to Budget and Finance a few weeks ago with concerns they have about a building project and 2 phases throughout the next several years. That would, and we got to do You've got to keep our school buildings and our system in the infrastructure development as it should be, and that would be about a $25 million project over the next several years. So you got to balance all that out, trying to keep our tax structure low, because businesses are really concerned when they look at you. What kind of tax structure do you have? What steps are you taking to keep your tax structure in line? So if we're going to commit to coming to this county, we don't want our property taxes going up, and so it's a balancing act every day. But we hope that we don't have a tax increase again this year. That's what we're working on.
You, how do you feel about the overall debt that the county has had to assume? I guess a lot of it had to do with school system and perhaps the county jail.
About $22 million on the county jail and $45 or so million over the last several years on the school system. And that debt 4 years ago was approaching $80 million for the county. And we've been trying to get some of that paid down to get us in a better structure, a better financial condition, to where when we have to take on more debt, we can do that and not be pass it along in another tax increase to our ratepayers. But June the 30th of this coming year, we should be right at $71 million. So the county's paid down around $8 million or so in the last 4 years on our indebtedness.
Do you still continue to have some borrowing power, some room to be able to borrow in case of an emergency came up?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
And we're trying to keep, we're trying to improve our bond rating, trying to get, as we keep these measures, when they look through that process, when they see what you're doing at a county level to try to keep your tax structure as it is, then that in time will impact your bond rating. And we're trying to improve our bond rating so that when we have to borrow again, we can get the best interest rate we can. And right now, Jim, I would say this, that we, about a little over a year ago, our jail debt is structured in three, not that our viewers really care about that, but we have in that $22 million total debt, three different components, two bonds for $9 million each, and the third bond is right at $4 million. So I asked our budget director, and she does a great job on that, but we brought our bond counsel to the table about 15, 16 months ago, and they were able to work out restructuring that first $9 million, and the time frame on that payback was 38 years. Well, state debt policy doesn't want you to finance a structure longer than its estimated useful life. So realizing that, I approached our budget and finance committee about restructuring that. So we got that first $9 million down to 25-year note, and we lowered the interest rate on that, and we're putting another $100,000 a year in on that, trying to cut the time frame from 38 to 25 years, and that will save our taxpayers about $3 million, just that one component. And we're trying to work on the second 9 right now.
Yeah, that makes good sense. I'm just wondering, though, it would appear that at this stage of the game, I know it was painful at the time, but that we really have a state-of-the-art jail facility in the county. Would you agree?
Yeah. We have a state-of-the-art facility out there, and we have 400 bed capacity. We have 8 different pods out there, each of those holding up to 50 people, 2 female pods and 6 male pods, so that would hold up to 400. And we do have our annex, which is where the old jail was. We remodeled that, and we're going to be the sheriff has agreed to a program to tweak that a little bit to where we can have up to 32 or 36, whatever the state will allow as maximum capacity. And they're coming back this month to make that final determination. But we're looking at putting some of our DUI offenders, our short-termers in there, keeping them out of the main jail population, which we hope in time will help us to get a little better handle on our recidivism and try to get that rate down.
And that facility, you guys have totally kind of remodeled it and made it more functional out there, I believe, have you not?
Yeah, that remodeling project was such that it is between $90,000 and $100,000, but it's got it state of the art now, and we're ready to go on that.
Right, and that's where the old jail used to be for, for you folks who may not know.
And Jim, if I can mention one other thing, if I may, about we are redoing our county website. I've had different people over the years say, Mayor, can you do something about redoing the website? We are doing that. We've contracted with a company out of Kansas, and that our IT technician, our director, she's been working very closely with that company, and we're rolling that out to the world this week. And it's taken several months on the work of that, and they've done some webinar training for our department heads and so on. So that will be rolled out this Thursday for the world to see, and we wanted a 21st century state-of-the-art website. And one good thing about this that our taxpayers, I would hope, would realize the importance of, this system, or with this new rollout, our departments can tailor make and make changes there. We can post minutes of meetings and schedules and whatever on there, so that our taxpayers in the county can see what's going on in county government. And a big part of that coming out this week is a company out of Rochester, New York, and going to a seminar this summer. I've heard the interview or the presentation they made. They will come to your county, and they will go across the county. Now, the technician came down, and he and I went across our county 2 days back in September, and about wore him out, I think. But he had over 80 different shots he took of the county. So we're trying to showcase Coffee County to the world. So you can go on there today. They actually rolled that out a little early, but you can go on there today on coffeecountygovernment.org, and on the left you can scroll down and you can hit on some links there. We're going to have that way. If a company from Korea or Japan or Germany or Canada or Seattle, Washington, whatever, if they want to look at coming to Coffee County, they can do that because we're showcasing Coffee County to the world. And one segment on that was about education and quality of life and community and economic development, whatever. And they've got a picture on there of the Beechcraft Museum and Tullahoma Airport and farming and whatever. So that way, anybody in the world can come to Coffee County now. So we're excited about that.
Okay, that is a great marketing tool, I would assume there, and I know you guys are proud of that.
We're proud of that.
All right. Sounds like things are going well, Gary.
Thank you.
We always enjoy talking with you and getting up to date on what's going on in Coffee County. And
thanks, sir.
Thank you so much for the hard work you and your staff do there.
Pleasure to be here and to meet our citizens, and I'll look forward to coming back again.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Folks, we'll be right back in just a moment with more Living right after this.
Here at Manchester Funeral Home, we know the importance of living and working in our local community because it's those families who we serve during their time of need honorably. We believe in supporting local business and offer only 100% Batesville caskets, the best in the industry and a driver of our local economy. If you want straightforward and fair pricing while working with the people you know, choose Manchester Funeral Home, serving your community since 1932. And pre-planning and pre-funding can be the best gift you ever leave your loved ones. Call us to pre-arrange. Manchester Funeral Home. Our family caring for your family since 1932.
If you want to be a parent, it doesn't matter how you play, what you wear, how you dance, or even what direction life takes you. You just need to be there. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care don't need perfection. They just need you.
How long has it been since you raced a cheetah? Are your tornado creating skills getting rusty? Tired of being the only one in your neighborhood who hasn't built a dinosaur? Sounds like it's time to visit the Hands-On Science Center. The Hands-On Science Center is an indoor science playground. In this museum, please touch is the rule. Join us for weekly science demonstrations on space, lasers, lizards, rocks, and a whole lot more. No two visits are ever the same, so visit often to see our ever-changing exhibits and demonstrations. The Hands-On Science Center, 101 Mitchell Boulevard in Tullahoma.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to do now is, for the rest of the show, we're going to go back into the holidays just a little bit and play some Christmas stuff, some music and different things just to stretch it out. Because remember, the first day of Christmas is Christmas Day. The 12 days of Christmas happen after Christmas Day. So we're still celebrating Christmas. And with that said, we want to hope that you have a successful, wonderful new year. Stay warm out there, stay safe, keep your pets inside and your water dripping. We'll see you next time.